is 2.01. And I'm going to do more actions, close others so that we're fresh. And I don't think there's any submissions yet. And so we're going to jump to the directions. Okay. Those are the links to the TiddlyWiki pages. And if you need help, you can go and grab them. And so I ask you to create a new TiddlyWiki 5 and call it, SUNY Poly -Steve -shapes or whatever you want. As you can figure out by now, it doesn't matter what you call them. I'm pretty sure, though, if you call it SUNY Poly -Steve -shapes, replacing your name in there, you're sitting at ID, it won't be taken. So that's a good reason for that. So
unless I'm doing that,
yeah, it will be taken. We'll fight over them. Yeah. So, but you're sitting at ID is not Steve. Right. I know, because mine is, and so sitting at IDs are by definition unique. So
make sure every night before class I just go in and make
go for it. You can have them. Yeah. And so you've built that. So I'm going to divide my screen in half, close the sidebar, close my Tiddler so my exercises are there, and I'm going to do a quick, yeah.
You only have 20% battery left.
Thank you. Come on. I'm going to just make it really fast, maybe. See, it always works for me, so I don't know. Oh, I forgot to copy it. By the way, he changed some of these things, so you don't have to do the you don't have to disable the side editor. He took that out, and he changed something else that I asked him to change for the default. So, pardon? Saved wiki. We're good to go. Okay, so I like them side by side. Especially in some cases. So the next thing is to drag tiddlers to your wiki. So I'm going to drag my medium blue circle and my medium blue square. Sometimes it works better than others. There it is. When it shows green, you're ready to go and import them. Okay, so I've got a medium blue circle and a medium blue square. Now, I'm like not a programmer. So to me, these things are cool. And I'm going to show you how we built this code. And these are called SVG, Scalable Vector Graphics. Does anybody here really know what they are? Has anybody ever used SVGs? I think that's used a lot in games because it's code that renders graphics. All the buttons in TiddlyWiki are SVGs. There's code behind them and it renders as a graphic. We're using like the simplest graphics in the world. So let's just edit this. So here's the code for a square. Notice my tiddler is tagged blue and medium and square. So it's tagged to the color, the size, and the shape. It's titled blue medium square or medium blue square, whatever. And it's got a little bit of code. This is not TiddlyWiki code. This works in any web page. This is HTML. Okay, so you can put this inside of any web page and have a blue square show up. The first line of it draws a little box. And you don't actually need to know this, but I'll explain it anyway. You can live without knowing how this works. The first line of it draws a little box that's 100 by 100 pixels. So imagine a piece of graph paper that's 100 squares across and 100 squares down, and that's your piece of paper. Okay? it could also be a grid of dots, which might be a little easier to imagine. 100 dots across, 100 dots down, and that's a grid. Okay, so your shape has got to fit inside the 100 by 100 box. And then we're going to draw a rectangle that's 35 by 35, also known as a square, right? So I'm going to expose these so we can see it. If I wanted to make it 5 by 35, we're going to get that kind of a rectangle. If I wanted to make it 35 by 5, we're going to get that one. If I wanted to make it yellow, we'll get yellow. And if I wanted to make it, I don't know, what's a bizarre color? We'll get not that, because it doesn't know chartreuse. But you can put any color you want. You can put the hex codes in there. I probably don't know how to spell chartreuse. I think it knows orange. And you can, these are not TiddlyWiki colors. These are standard HTML colors. And some, I don't know, I use wheat a lot. I use, I don't know, purple. So I picked these because this is like fun, sort of powerful, and you can see it change immediately. Okay, that's how squares are created. And I'm going to not save my changes. So I still have a blue square. Circle's a little different. First line's the same, SVG width, so it's 100 by 100 grid. Circle has 3 dimensions to it: the X, the Y, and the radius. So in your head, the X and Y is the center point of the circle. So in a 100 by 100 grid, 50-50 is the exact center of that point. Okay, if you wanted it to be in the upper, if you wanted it to be in the upper right-hand corner, you can go, that's X over 5 and Y down 5. Oops. And now you only get a quarter of the circle because your circle's too big to fit, to be visible in your 100 by 100 grid because it's tucked up in the upper right. If you wanted it down in the lower left, it's going to fit there because it's only 25. Right? So if you think about it, it's over 75. 75, it's got 25 left to draw the circle. Like I said, you really don't need to pay attention to that if you just kind of mess with the code for the assignment. I keep X and Y at 50-50, and then the radius. All right, who remembers geometry? When you said, I'm never going to have to know what the radius of a circle is. Well, you do. Remember your geometry teacher says you'll need to know this in college. Here it is. What's the radius? From the center to the edge, right? The diameter is 2 times the radius, right? So it's just the line. It's basically the size of the circle. So so we can make this circle 100. What's it going to look like if a circle has a radius of 100 and 100 by 100 grid? It's actually going to look like a square because all the circleness is out there. So it stops at the boundaries. There's a really tiny one, super teeny tiny, slightly bigger, a little bigger, bigger yet, 25. Okay, you get the point. Dragged and dropped, we're ready to go. What I'm going to ask you to do is create big shapes and little shapes, large and small, squares and circles, reds and greens. Okay, so that requires you to change them all. And it's only in these initial exercises I ask you to do sort of tedious work. It just because it's a little bit of the repetition will help you figure out what you're doing. There's a feature under more info called clone. And so what clone does is takes your tiddler and makes an exact copy of it. gives it a name by adding a number to the end of it. So medium blue circle 1, and if I clone medium blue circle 1, I think I'll get medium blue circle 1 space 1. Oh, I did. Okay, so that's kind of silly. I'm going to delete it. So I'm going to edit my medium blue circle 1, and I'm going to make large red square. Actually, I'm going to make large red circle. Duh. Large red circle, get rid of the 1. Don't forget to retag it take out the blue and tag it to red. And the first time you type your tag, you have to type it. The second time it'll be there. Retag it from medium to large. And it says, for large circles, set the radius equal to 50. There's my large red circle. Don't forget to change the color. Okay. My instructions were very sort of annoyingly, do this, do this, do this, do this. I'm going to do it slightly differently. You can do it however you want. So I've got large red circle. It makes sense to me. I've already built large red circle. Why don't I clone this into large green circle, where I only have to change one tag and the color. Okay. Once you've done that, and I'm going to take I'm just going to go ahead and do that while you guys do that. So I'm going to end up with 8 shapes, and then we'll be down on step 5. So I'm going to finish out step 3 and 4. I'm going to do all my circles. So I did my 2 larges. Now I have to do my 2 smalls. And small circles are radius of 10. And don't forget to change the tags. And this isn't much fun until you've got them built. So now you should end up with 5 circles when you're done your circles. Okay, now we can move on to squares. Come on. Is this working for everybody? Large circles, large squares are 100 by 100. And what this does is teaches you how to get rid of tags and add tags, etc. Now that I've tagged something in red, it's in my tag list. And I've tagged something to large, it's in my tag list, so I don't have to type anymore. I can clone my large red square to make it a green one. And I can clone my large green square to make it a small one. And a small square is 20. This will be the most boring exercise I ask you to do. And in terms of creating these. Okay, I've got 5 squares, 3 smalls. I must be missing the small. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red, so I've got an extra red. So you're going to screw up because I did, so I'm sure you will. So I've got large green square tagged to red, so I have to fix that.
You just changed large red square to be back to green.
Large green square should be, yeah, you know, it's, did I just mess them up? Yeah.
Really mess with anybody trying to see the Diddler,
Hmm?
It would really mess with anybody trying to watch or view the Diddler.
Yeah. Come on. So I'm probably close now. And small is still tagged to large, so you get the point. Okay. Close enough. Okay. Was anybody able to do that? Did work pretty much? You can get some of them going. You don't have to. Okay. So, we did step 5. We've tagged it. So we modified the code. We tagged the tiddlers with the appropriate tags. We're on to step 6. Okay. So now what we're doing is tagging the tag tiddlers, the same thing you did in About, somewhat similar to what you did in About Me. And if you think about what we're doing is we're creating a hierarchy of tags. So we've got red. Well, what is red? Red's a color. So let's tag red, blue, and green to be a color, circle and square to be a shape, large, medium, and small to be a size, because that will give us colors, shapes, and sizes that we'll be able to mess with. I'm going to skip that well, I'll go ahead and do it. It's not going to take me too long. So we'll go to red. We'll tag that to color. And we'll go to green. Oh, this is still tagged wrong. I'll tag green to color. And now I see that I should have 2 colors. I haven't gotten to blue yet. We have to do the square and tag that to shape. And so this is a little bit of manual tagging. This is about as big of a wiki as I would build with manual tagging. Beyond this size, I'd import it some other way. And we'll do large, and I'm not going to do all these because I don't feel like it. But we'll mess with them. Okay, so I've got a bunch of them done. You finish them up, and then you drag the About My shapes, and oh, I forgot this code. Yeah, I forgot the second part of tag. Yeah, this is the whole point of the exercise, right? Is to do this code. So copy in 6.2 is that code, and I've written it out so that you should be able to copy and paste it. You'll notice it looks somewhat similar to list links macro, but not exactly. So we're getting a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to copy and paste that, and I paste that in one of my tag tiddlers. So we'll paste that in square. And instead of red, I want square. So let's take a look and spend time understanding what this code does. Okay. And I'm just going to rewrite it down here. So it opens with a single angle bracket and a $sign. And this, if you can do this, then all the rest of the code is just more of the same. But this is like as codey as we're going to get at certain level in terms of its syntax. Opens up with with an angle bracket and a $sign, and the command we're looking for is list. Okay. Um, and then we have to say, well, every time you type list, you have to type filter equals. I don't know. It's just, it's there. So list, so we're going to filter. What's a filter? So what the filter does is it sifts through all of your tiddlers and finds ones that match what's on the other side of the filter. So we want to sift through all of our tiddlers and find ones that have a tag of square. And I close it with a quote and a closed bracket sign. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that for now. So by default, list will list the names of your tiddlers. Okay, so those are all the names of our tiddlers that, and if I put a return, they'll put them in a nice list. That's exactly the same as list links. In fact, what the list links macro does is types that out for you. But we're not interested in the names of the tiddlers. We want to see what they look like. We want to see their contents. We want to transclude the contents of that tiddler. So I'm going to click on medium blue square and I'm going to edit it. And everything inside here that's called the text field. So everything inside there is going to get transcluded and pushed to the tiddler that I'm working with. And the way you transclude something, the field we're looking for is called text. And the way you transclude it is you put it in double curly braces followed by double exclamation points. And that says, get the field of the current tiddler called text. Double exclamation points say the current tiddler. And it's sort of like a loop, right? If I put an X there, it's going to go for every tiddler that matches tag square, it's going to print an X. For every tiddler that matches the tag square, it's going to print a Z. And for every tiddler that matches tag square, it's going to display the contents of its text field, which happens to be that square. And then I'm done, so I'm going to close it with a /$ list, close angle brackets, and we're good to go. Okay, those are all my squares. If I'd like to have a return after each one of them so that they're in a column, I can put a break there. If I want to put a little bit of text in front of each one, I can do that. I can do anything I want inside these lists. And inside that, where we have text, this stuff right there, you'll spend a lot of your time writing. That's when you're writing what you want to be displayed. Okay, so if you think about it, you're at like step 75 of HTML coding on the third day of class. Okay, because to do this in HTML, that's a lot of work. That's a lot. And you're saying, but I want to write words. I want to make games. Why am I playing with squares and circles? Because once we can get these basics, we can do a lot more with it. Okay, so there's my square. And basically, I copied that code into, I save that. I put it in each of my, I'll put it in my red tiddler. So there's 3 of them. I don't know why, but there are. I'll put it in my small tiddler. So you want to put this in each of your 6 tags. That looks pretty good. I'll put it in my green tiddler. Oh, and obviously I have a mistake. Something's the matter. One of my red tiddlers is tagged green. Looks like it's the small red circle. So now I got to find my small red circle. Small red circle is tagged green. I'm just going to close these so that we can see the small is correct, the green is incorrect. And so as soon as I took the, oh, I have to save it. Okay. Small. So as soon as I save it, then it will disappear. Okay. So that's cool. We do that. And then we drag about my shapes tiddler over and import it. And let's look at it. Okay. So the way that I wrote about my shapes, and I'm going to walk you through it, was intended to get you to see some additional coding that's out there. So let's look at the code for that. You did a list filter equals, instead of the word list, you can put the word count, and it will count them for you. Instead of a slash $ list, you can just put a slash inside the brackets, and it will close it for you. If you don't put that slash there, then when you don't do that, then it'll just stop. And you'll say, I can't figure it out. And I'll say, well, you forgot your slash. So let's see. I have some tiddlers. Count tiddler tag circle. I have 5 that are tagged circle. And here's how I'm getting the words tagged circle, tagged circle. Okay. So I have 5 tag circles, 6 tag square, 4 red, 4 green, 4 blue. Okay. And this will, you can just put this in, and if you've got the right tags, it should render appropriately. My shape tiddlers, I've got 1 shape, 2 colors, and 1 size. That's because I didn't finish. I have to go back and tag medium and small. Looks like I only tagged large to size. I didn't tag blue, and I didn't tag circle to shape. So I'll finish that, and those numbers will update. And here are my blue tiddlers. And I added a little wrinkle here. I put the break after the line. And in addition to the text field, I also bring in the title field. That's the title of the tiddler. So that's why it says medium blue circle, medium blue square, draft of medium blue square. It's because my draft is open. If I close that, that'll disappear. So that's the whole exercise. And what it does is gives you an opportunity for dragging and dropping, using the list command, transcluding, and using the count command. So there's a lot going on, and plus playing with SVG graphics, which is just fun. Those of you who want to go further, optional, you can add a third color, a third size, and or a third shape. And you can look at my basic shapes tiddler. I've got circles, I've got squares, I've got rectangles, I've got triangles. Triangles are cool. You just have to experiment. So I'm going to stop there.